Hey guys, notice this award show. Notice the people in the background all headgeared up. Not the host, everybody else. Just want to comment on this before I get into the rest. So, this is all the people who are working for them. And these are all the people in the audience. Thousands of people. No headgear. All smiling away. I saw this commercial, so I had to rewind it just to watch it. Whether you have it or not, stay home. What are they trying to say here? In this together, just prepare to be alone. I did a little voiceover there just for those videos because it's just kind of an interesting thing. Peons, headgear. Everybody else, you guys all enjoy yourselves. You're our guests. We'll keep the servants at bay. And then watching those commercials. Alone together. Whether you have it or not, just stay home. Getting people prepared for the whole staying home, work from home, it's safer at home, don't come out and be a problem. So, before I get into this even further, this is a part 2 to what yesterday's video was. I wanted to really lay down what my opinion, in mind. There's a lot of things you can look at. So today I'm going to go to the flip side of that coin, as I said in the description of that video. So imagine now, dose program. They're taking away all these things. They're just going to loosen the reins, and they're going to just open the fences, and everybody can just go about their biz. But after we've watched all this craziness with the trucker situation, things that are down in Australia, looking at Austria, I'm sure there's some other places that are just as bad in America, state to state. I mean, people being arrested in New York for not showing proof, going into a restaurant. Same rules apply now in Boston, I believe. I don't know if they put that up, or are they taking that down, or how that's working. I don't go to Boston. I love the food, but not enough to go there. So they got all these things already in place. Now imagine some sort of a severity happens after the fact, and they're going to say the same thing they say now. Oh, it's not the dosed, it's the undosed. Yet in reality, it might be a flip, the opposite, but we'll never know that for sure because we're not scientists. We can't go to these places, and the media is controlled by somebody else. So now, with all this going away, now just say, they could say, well, we're dropping the hammer. You're not dosed. You're not going to be a part of society anymore. All these things, even though they're pulling off the headgear, there's a lot of these mandates, and not mandates, but the programs that are still going on, like the dose program, possibly a lot of the card programs, like I said, with Boston, New York. So imagine those things continue on. Now, it's the two system society. You're either on board or you're not. But imagine there's a cleanup crew one way or the other. Somebody comes back, along and says, hey, whoa, you guys can't do this to them. These Christians and these people that have, sense about them, that are questioning all this, we're going to stand with them. Pat on the back, come with us. Let us, we're going to team up, and we're going to go against these people. We're going to take down these systems. Now, ensnaring them. And I'll get more into that. Or there's the dosed all of a sudden start falling out, and the undosed, now they're going to come against those people saying, oh, you guys need to get dosed. Everybody's affected by it. No, it's the dosed. No, everybody's affected by this. You need to get on board with this. It'll save your life. No, I'm not doing it. Because I feel, I'm hearing in certain circles, it's the dosed that are falling out. This is not something anybody really wants to get on. So then all of a sudden, they say, well, too bad then, you're going to have to be stuck in your home. Stuck in, I think Australia has look it up, well camps. And this is something that they've been talking about for 8 or 9 months. And it's been back and forth, and You know, it's like a travel thing going into their country, blah, blah, blah. Who knows, but it's set up. So there again, all of a sudden, you know, you start throwing people into holes and this and that, and stay in your home. But somebody comes and says, no, we're going to free you from these things, you know, from these cages. We're going to let you back out. You know, we're going to, you guys are evil. You're bad. You can't do this to people. We found evidence saying that you guys are the cause of all this. Blah, blah. It could go in that kind of a flow in a couple different ways you can think of. But there again, somebody comes to save the Christians and those who are, you know, not fully there, but are, say, truthers. So there again, now all of a sudden, they're being ensnared. The Christians who said, oh, you're coming to save us. Oh, you're a good person. You're doing the right thing for me and my friends and all the other people that are they're doing this to. The systems are evil. You're good. So now the two evils, the good, the evil, the good cop, bad cop, but they're both of the same station in a way, sense, right? So imagine that could also happen in this future. And why I would say that is like I showed with the Habakkuk yesterday, which was in Habakkuk 1, it's Habakkuk's second complaint saying, you know, they do all this unrighteousness and they ensnare men like fish in their nets in the sea. And like I said, you know, look at the second bowl. You know, every living soul in the sea dies. Could it be because of sin that they're getting, you know, they're going another way, they're pulling back? And what does the Lord say to Habakkuk after that complaint? He says, but we shall live by faith. The just or the righteous shall live by faith. But woe to that man if they pull back. I have no pleasure in them. Paraphrasing. So here is the time of that rising of that false prophet. Could actually go like that, you know. These things are still going on. They're just taking off headgear, and they're not going to make kids in school wear, which is the biggest issues that we've heard in the news. And all of a sudden now they're going to say, we're not going to do that anymore. But because of, you know, staying ahead of these things, you still got to get your doses. And here again, if you guys aren't subscribed to Days of Noah, D-A-Z of Noah, he just put out another video. I'm just getting into it, only an hour's worth. And he's saying it's a very important. I've only gotten it like a third of the way through. And it is. There's so much information in those videos that you have to take on, that they're trying, you know, they push forward to pull back and forth, back and forth. So it's just the way they work. But here again, I want to get a little bit into a point I've made in the past, and I've almost turned right to it. Opening. I was just a couple pages away. That's awesome. So in Esther, I have to watch what I say here. So in Esther, Esther makes a plea to reverse Haman's letter. And the king's like, what are you talking about? What do you mean? What's going on? Because I believe the king gave Haman his ring to do, you know, what he wanted to do. He wasn't really questioning him. He kind of set him out free to do whatever. And he had a plan to take out those people. So, well, that religion, I guess you could say. Because it's not a people, it's a religion. So they went out, and she had opened up to the king. She was a part of that religion, and he is coming out, Haman's coming out to destroy him, if possible, as many as he can. And he was going to send out letters to all the land to do it on this certain day. So Esther knew she was kind of at the end of her rope. She had to do something then. And when she went to go do it, now the king's like, what? No, I'm reversing that. So then the king gave them, Esther and Mordecai, the ability to then reverse that, send out the letters, send out the horsemen, let them, all the people in the land know not to do this to them. But now that the king is giving them the power to do it to those people that were going to come again, those who hated him. And I'll put the scriptures up here just so you can see the fine points here, because I'm not saying that this religion is going to come against the world, but it's the Talmudists out there that are going to come against the world, I believe, and are doing that. As in the coin, the Trump coin with Bibi, I've shown dozens and dozens of times how important that coin is, because it makes a very bold statement. War of the light and the darkness. I don't have it in front of me. I haven't seen it in a while. I haven't used it, but they actually minted that coin. It's a real thing. It's not just a picture I was showing. And you can find it if you go search it out, say on, I think it's either Amazon, or just type it into Google. You'll find the actual minted coin. The war of the sons of darkness versus the sons of light. And depending on which way they're facing, you could say a couple different things. You know, which way are they looking? They're looking at are they turning their backs on their enemies? Are they looking at their enemies? Are they, which one are they? Are they the light or the darkness? So then you can go into the Bible, and I think you can actually go into, I put it into, because Pence had a speech about the Space Force, and if you looked at his speech, you go into that psalm, and that's what it is, it's a psalm, and you read the rest of it, it talks about, those who are of darkness but count themselves as light, I believe. I haven't looked at it in a long time, but I still have the video on my phone. So that's just chapter 8, pretty much, and it just kind of a summarized. So you go to chapter 9, and let me find exactly where it is. I'll have it here on the screen. But they went out, and they were given the authority to go against those who hated them, women and children included. And it talks about how they went out and killed 75,000 people. Their enemies in 127 provinces, I think. I don't think it exactly says where they were all from, but in entirety, 75,000 people. So then after that is done, the king says to them, okay, well, let's keep this as a reminder. We'll call it this holiday, and you keep it at the 13th day of Adar, which when you go into these, it's a leap year, so now it goes into a second of Adar, which goes another 20 or 30 days. Hey, it's 30 days, I think, longer, which then goes into the middle of March. And I think it's like a 3-day thing, so it's 14th, 15th, and 16th, I believe, in that timeline. But here, all these things are happening right at this time, which is kind of interesting how they're pulling back, and they're going to have their, didn't they do this before, where they, take, headgear off, breathe the free air, and da-da-da-da-da, only to bring it back again with the Omi. So now we've gone through this lesser thing, and they're saying, oh, well, that was a thing in the days of Noah. He shows a video where this person is actually saying, well, we need to start doing this. The reason they're doing this, because you can't keep saying the house is on fire and going to the extremes the entire time. People are going to get desensitized, and they're going to turn away. So we need to implement the lesser forms of this, so that way when we say, we hit the alarm again, then people will be more in tune to listen and will follow what we say. And in a way, because when this thing comes back and it's worse, she's saying it in a way, and it's just like, how can you even say that without even saying that, yes, this is going to happen, so we need to be ready for it when we're saying it's going to happen. And that's throwing a little bit of my own statements on it, but listening to her saying, oh, we just have to be ready for if. But of course, we know it's coming. And now they got the 5 sneezy laid out. I've showed the lipozymes in past videos, talking about I think I might have something in the, I'm sure I do, in my playlist of winter to come, which will come with which is interesting with the March holiday that I was just speaking about. In the midst, 13th, 14th, 15th, or the 14th, 15th, 16th. I'm not sure exactly the 3-day period. I just got the middle date here, but America's in winter until the spring equinox, or is it a solstice? I think it's the equinox. Yeah. So that timepiece country is also in this northern hemisphere where the winter lasts up until the same exact time, until March 20th, the solstice or equinox. So keep this as a reminder. And what do they do in that land? Every season is a public reading of this very thing. It's only 10 chapters, and the 10th chapter is only 2.5 paragraphs. So it doesn't take much, but you can see this is what they do every single year. And my feeling is, when you're looking at Revelation 18 and it talks about these things, and it talks about at the end, after it goes through all the things that are happening to Mystery Babylon. Let me just get you the exact, it was chapter 18, and it's the very end where it speaks. So if you go into verses 21 through 23, I'll read just the 22. And the voice of the harpers and musicians, pipers, trumpeters shall be heard no more in thee. No craftsman, no of whatsoever craft he shall be found any more in thee. And the sound of a millstone shall be heard no more at all in thee. And the light of the candle shall shine no more in thee. The voice of the bridegroom and of the bride shall be heard no more at all in thee. For the merchants were the great men of the earth, for by their sorceries, in the Greek pharmakia, were all nations deceived. All nations are being deceived right now. And when you read what I just read here, the voice of the harpers, the millstone, the candle, the voice of the bridegroom and the bride, that is directly out of Jeremiah 25, and it is the cup of God's wrath. So, the sorceries, the pharmakia, pharmacies, pharmacists, pharmacy medicines, all that. And in her was found the blood of the prophets and of the saints and of all who were slain upon the earth. And every living soul in the sea dies in the second bowl. You look at Revelation 14, it talks about it's time for the harvest. And what happens in Matthew 13 when it talks about the harvest? It'll be the cutting down of the wheat and the tares together, and then separate the wheat into my barn and throw the tares, the weeds, into the fire. That's why this is so important. And when you go back to Revelation 16, talking about the bowls, what does it say? It is the 7th bowl being poured out, and it is the longest verse in that chapter. And the 7th angel poured out his vial into the air, and there came a great voice out of the temple of heaven, from the throne, saying, "It is done." And there were voices of thunders and lightnings and great earthquakes, such as was not since men were upon the earth, so mighty an earthquake. The great city was divided into 3 parts. The cities of the nations fell. Great Babylon came in remembrance before God, to give her the cup of the wine of the fierceness of his wrath. And every island fled away, and the mountains were not found. And there fell upon men a great hail out of heaven. Every stone was about the weight of a talent. And men blasphemed God because of the plague of the hail, for the plague thereof was exceedingly great. These things are very important. That's why these videos, I'm sorry, I usually make 2, 3, 4, 5-minute videos, but not for this kind of information. It is way too important, and these times are way too great. The information is coming in way too fast. I walk around with wired up headphones, and I listen to as much as I can. If I don't have information to glean from people, I'll go into people's past year videos, like Theology Ed, Days of Noah. You can just, the psychology of what's going on, the science he shows, endless amounts of information you can glean from. And it's very telling. And the more, I mean, with the video I'm watching now of Days of Noah, his latest, it points more to my last idea, but also can take the ideas of all this and somehow mend them together in a way that we haven't thought of yet, that we're not looking at, because they're doing this because they have to do it in a subtle way that is severe, and it is comforting when the time comes. Look at the extreme of what just happened. Look how we can pull together, or look how somebody can come up and comfort. And it's that second beast that rises out of the earth that is going to be increasingly dangerous, because it's going to snare men in their nets, as in Habakkuk. Matthew said, I'll make you fishermen of men. Guess what they want to do? They want to be the fishermen. They want to be ensnaring men. And they worship unto their drag. They're going to say, look, we will bring you salvation. Don't worry about, pride is a sin. It can be held against you if you're too prideful. And these guys are going to be proud if they can get you to deny the Lord Jesus Christ. So with that, have faith. Sorry I wore my hat through this entire thing. I should have took it off. Forgive me. But I'm going to cut this off so it's not too much longer with this. Just a word to the wise guys. God bless. We're at the weekend. Olympics, Super Bowl, Valentine's Day. Anything is possible. At the same time, they're going to have this sorcery during just like they did for the opening of the Olympics. They had their ceremony, their weird, the phoenix all over it. Same thing is going to happen with the Super Bowl. They're going to have a different version of their own seancing, sorcery, whatever I can't think of the word right now, but it's some sort of a symbolic evil. That's why they have those guys that are in there. These guys don't sing about love, joy, and all that jazz. They sing the opposite. Mary J. Blige, I don't know anything about her. There's the one guy I've never even heard of before. He must be some new up-and-comer, but the main guys there, the main three, I'm not going to say their names, but those guys, they don't sing about anything good. So just a word of the wise guys. God bless. Let's just see. Hopefully nothing does happen. If it does happen, keep all this in mind. I'm not saying I'm completely right, but if we don't have these kinds of things, the possibilities of what's going on, who's doing this, and of course they're going to be behind the curtain and they're going to make it look like somebody else is doing this. So just a word to the wise. God bless.